A breath of fresh air. It's Sunday Sanctuary with Petra Bagust.
Breaks my soul in Christ. My mind is moving slow. Far from all I know. Give me time to know. My mind is moving slow.
Welcome to Sunday Sanctuary. This is Messy Motherhood. E te hunga matawai, nau mai haere mai, whakatau mai rā ki tēnei puna, wairuatanga, arā ko Sunday Sanctuary. To those of you who are thirsty, come and sit at this wellspring of spirituality called Sunday Sanctuary. I numia he oranga mō tō wairua, a ia koe e puta i tēnei puna, kia mā kona o kariaroto. Drink deeply for the life of your spirit, so that when you leave this spring, all things within you will be satisfied. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, Sunday Sanctuary, messy motherhood, messy Mother's Day, messy, messy, messy. Where can I start? I have the privilege of being a mum to 3 children. I have the privilege of having a mum and of being friends with people who are both mummed, unmummed, mums, unmums. And, well, to be honest, there's mess inside of all of it. And there's goodness inside of it too. And when we get to community life today, you'll see the complexity, the nuance, the tenderness of both the desire to become a mum that may or may not have happened, the desire to do a good job of mumming, the desire to have a mum that has been lost. There's quite a lot of, I think tenderness is the right word. And look, I'm going to say it again, complexity and nuance. And so I would like to start with a welcome to you. We have discussions with single mum, with a yet-to-be mum, with someone who has lost their mum, and we acknowledge all the mumming that goes on, because each and every single one of us has a mum, however human they are, however marvellous, magnificent or messy they are. We were all begun inside a mum. And so this is a big thing. It's so real, so normal, and it's big. So enjoy today our Sunday Sanctuary offering to you. It is designed and given, offered up with a sense of inviting you into a healing mothering space for whether you're on the journey or not, and for wherever you are at with your own mum. And I want to bring up a point that Dr. Gabor Mate talks about, which is that for so much of us, it's about the quality of our relationship. And for many of us, our relationships have brokenness inside of them. I think that's all of us. And I think one of the greatest gifts we can give our children and our people who we mum, whether they're our children or not, is to tend to our own happiness, and not in a selfish way, but in a way that says, if I model mumming myself, if I model the ability to parent, to take a hold of my emotions, to embrace them unconditionally, to embrace my thoughts, to calm them, to contain them and be like kind, compassionate, then I am in essence mumming myself and modelling a way of being in the world that is nurturing. So maybe messy motherhood is the joy of, the journey of learning how to nurture ourselves and others. This is Sunday Sanctuary, Messy Motherhood.
Awe, wonder, surprise, incredulity, admiration, marvel at the world we live in. It's Sunday Sanctuary with Petra Bagust.
I thought it would be appropriate to be a little bit wow about something mummy. And do you know that regardless of whether a mum is left or right-handed, they tend to cradle their babies on the left side of their bodies, especially when they're like teeny tiny babies. And the left-handed bias is believed to do with a human brain's layout. So sensory information on the left side of the body is processed on the right side of the brain. And the right brain hemisphere is also where emotions are processed. So this idea of holding and observing the baby on the left is believed to help transmit social information to the right side of our brains more efficiently. Weird. Babies also seem to prefer to keep their mums in their left visual field. So it's like this giving and receiving of our emotional social cues that happens instinctually. And researchers have even found out that animals like Russian island walruses tend to keep their babies on the left side. Like they're bobbing along the waves and their calves swim over to the mums and they suckle on the left. Flying foxes in Sri Lanka, mums dangling from tree branches, seem to favour keeping their babies on the left. So there's something just primal about giving and receiving. Go figure. Today we're going to do an examine in the mode of, well, what can I say? Maybe in the mode of mumming ourselves. So what I'd like you to do is be aware of your body. Let's start with our breath. Let's be led by our breath right now. So take a deep breath in through your nose if you're able. Hold the breath at the top. Let the breath out through your mouth. This is an invitation to presence, to be present to yourself. Just land in your body. Conscious of the inhale and the exhale. And as you breathe, feeling the oxygen come in through your nose, feeling the expansion of your lungs, your diaphragm, holding it, the bursting feeling, releasing it. You can ask the question, what's happening in my body? Is there a tightness? Is there a tension? Is there a release? Can you touch the part of your body that is responding? To your care, to your attention. Can you touch that part of your body that needs to be held or noticed, that needs to be mummed for a moment, and give thanks? Maybe it's a part of your body that has pain and tension in it, tightness. Maybe you can say thank you. Thank you for that part of your body. In your next breath in, maybe you can send oxygen directly to that place in your own body. Breathing in the goodness. Releasing the goodness. Maybe you can say out loud, I am a nervous system. I am a body. I will let my body be a friend and a guide to a physical place that I love. I am me. And just let your breath return to normal. And consider how It's so easy to un-mum ourselves. It's so easy to rush from place to space and to forget that we are all of those things. We are a body, we are a nervous system and a heart and a head, and that all of us deserves to be held and embraced and mummed. This is Sunday Sanctuary and Messy Motherhood.
Sunday Sanctuary, a reset for your soul.
Right now, I'm going to light a candle. And today I'm lighting two. So, the reason I'm lighting two is because I would like to use this opportunity to remember. And so the first candle is for our mums, whether they're still with us, whether they passed or died recently, whether they left us a long time ago in any way, shape or form. And the second candle is to remember any children lost, whether they were hopes, dreams, just tiny babies inside of us, or children who have moved away from us. So I light a candle for those we would love to have mothered more, and I light a candle for those who would love to have mothered us more. And there is something so tender about motherhood. I think of, the wending way of it working out or not working out. And even when it works out, like we talk about being hapu, being pregnant, and then actually it's not about that at all. It's about this creature that comes into the world. And then there are so many questions, and there's so many invitations to guilt and invitations to joy. And so when I went to you, our community, and asked, what feelings does Mother's Day bring up for you? I have to say that I am moved and humbled and, just really embrace everything that you have offered. And I think that sometimes hearing what is offered, it can be different to our experience, but we can see it or feel it, or it can be so resonant with our experience, and we can feel less alone. We can know that we are not alone, that there are others who walk a path that has pleasure and pain on it. So when I said to you, what feelings does Mother's Day bring up for you? Laurel said, happiness and guilt all muddled together. Someone else said, thankfulness that my kids have become such amazing adults. Another said, grief. One of you said, nope, not a fan. And another, gratitude, warmth and love. The feelings of Mother's Day bring up awe of my mum's fortitude and faithfulness. And what about excitement to have my family love on me and for me to love on my mother? For Lizzie, pressure. Am I good enough? I know that feeling. Another said, gratitude, yet sometimes guilt for those who ache with an empty womb. And Lisa said, thankfulness that I get to be a mum to 2 adopted children and our own IVF baby. Missing my mother who died of breast cancer aged 38. I was 14 and am now 54. We both got so ripped off. Sadness, glad and privileged to be a mother, but always miss my own. Jen said, it's my 40th birthday this Mother's Day, and it rubs even more that I won't ever be one. How much I love my grandma. She raised me during a really tough time. She's 98 this year. Wow, that's so amazing. And as a single parent of a young child, no one to celebrate acknowledged me. That is a feeling of, I guess, aloneness. Yeah. Confusion, guilt, grief. I feel built to be a mother, but life circumstances never allowed it. And this is one I really relate to, a tangled sense of pride, joy, and a little bit of despair. Grateful for my awesome mum, but sad that motherhood isn't something I'm going to experience. My mama is so precious, and also sad for my daughter. Her only baby is in heaven. This will be my first Mother's Day without my mum, so it will be sad. Mixed. I think of all that I've done wrong and where I'm not worthy, and then I enjoy my family being together. First since my mum passed last year, and third since Dad passed on Mother's Day. And finally, tremendous gratitude, but also a sense of sadness because I know not everyone will be able to celebrate. And so that is the offering from our community for this messy Mother's Day, and I receive it with gratitude and gratefulness, which is the same thing. So I just receive it. Thank you for sharing your Mother's Day thoughts with me. We're going to talk now with Jax Donaldson, who is based up in the north of the North Island in Whangarei. She is a broadcaster and a food blogger for So I Gather. She's a food producer and she has cows and she loves them. She also has a daughter called Grace. And the sacred text that we use to kick off our conversation is actually an excerpt from the movie Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. To give you a little bit of context, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once swept the Oscars and is quite a profoundly visual and dynamic and in some ways even abstract and metaphorical movie. So I recommend going there. This piece that we've taken is a conversation between Evelyn, who is a mum, and Joy, her daughter. And there has been a lot of tension build up through the movie. And it's towards the end of the movie, and it's a confrontation in a car park where the mum walks towards her daughter and lets her have it. Evelyn speaks first. Have a listen.
You are getting fat. And you never call me, even though we have a family plan. And it's free. You only visit when you need something. You got a tattoo, and I don't care if it's supposed to represent our family. You know I hate tattoos. And of all the places I could be, why would I want to be here with you? Yes, you're right. It doesn't make sense.
Evelyn, 别说了，够了。
Let her finish.
Maybe it's like you said. Maybe there is something out there. Some new discovery that will make us feel like even small pieces of shit. Something that explains why you still went looking for me. And why, no matter what, I still want to be here with you. I will always want to be here with you.
Jax Donaldson, thank you for joining us on Sunday Sanctuary on this investigation, celebration, revelation of mothering. And we're wending our way around mothering and being mothered and just, all iterations and everything in between. We're talking about everything, everywhere, always, all at once. So, welcome, ngā mihi, for being with us. And also, what's your response to that very, very real conversation between a mother and a daughter?
It certainly hits you right in the heart space, that's for sure. It is such a complex experiment, becoming a mother. And I love watching that conversation because it really highlights that we are in such a busy time, such a distracted time, and yet if we focus back on the very basics, that relationship is everything. And I just love the frank, open, raw conversation that is that portion of that beautiful movie. Incredible. Yeah, loved it.
You are fat, you never call me, even though it's free, and you don't come and see us, you break family arrangements. There's pain and truth and reality in that, and yet that mother heart, the iconic mother heart, says, I still choose you.
I love that too, because I see a mother who is, look, as I am, totally, really imperfect, but she's doing the best she knows how to do. So she's spilling all this kind of awful stuff to her daughter. You're fat. I mean, that's, it's such an awful thing to hear a mother saying to a daughter. But at the heart of it, she's just she's wide open. She's raw, completely raw and wide open. And that honesty and that honest dialogue, it's just incredible to see, for sure.
And there's something embedded in that conversation for me that's honouring the sacrifice that mothers make. It's honouring the fact that we spend, as mothers or people who mother, portions of our lives, our life force, in the care and pursuit of the wellness of others.
Hugely so. I mean, it's the biggest life-altering adventure, challenge, experiment. I always call it an experiment because I've got no idea what I'm doing every and I've only got one. I don't have a backup.
No
so
spare.
If I blow, there's no spare. So if I always say to Grace, just start popping away $1 a week, in that little fund for the counselling that you're going to need. I'm doing my best here, kid, but I'm certainly not perfect. And that's the kind of conversation that we have with our tongues and our cheeks in this house. But I'm pretty honest about it with you. I am doing, I think, better than the generation before me, in my opinion, but they were doing better than the generation before them. And so it goes back and back. That, it's changed so much. I try with my mothering to just be as open, age appropriately so, but as open in conversations about everything as possible. But as I say, it's got to be age appropriate too.
I love that you're acknowledging a step towards more wholeness in your mothering, that you acknowledge that your mother did better, hopefully, than her mother, that there was this sense of gentle walking towards wholeness is what I would call it. And that's appropriate, because when we can look at the past with compassion, we can look at ourselves with compassion. Like, I have screwed some things up for my kids. I didn't arrive a great mum. I think I've become a better mum. But they lived through the early years. They lived through all the foibles and all the responses and reactions to my own parenting. And my mum lived through the responses and reactions to her parenting, and her mum and her mum and her mum. Can I ask you about how you were mothered? Were there aspects of your mother's mothering that really worked and aspects that didn't so much?
It's been a really interesting journey with my mom. There comes a time, and you'll know this, Petra, in your life as a daughter, where you one day look at your mum and you see her not as your mum, but as another human being. And then it kind of changes. Then you start to see your mum's, or the things that used to frustrate you about your mum, as something that potentially had been a hurt or a trauma for her that she just hasn't coped with, or it's manifesting in that way in her parenting. And so you get to bear the brunt of that. And if you can look back and kind of see those things and see them for what they are and what they were in your mother's life, then it does make things a little bit easier. Things that worked with my mum was she was incredibly nurturing, very, very kind, and we always were incredibly well looked after. She made sure she was a very soft place to land, I think is probably a really good way to describe mum's parenting style. Always consistently kind, patient to a fault. Oh my gosh, the woman honestly deserves a sainthood for the patience that she showed all of us.
Can I ask about your journey as a single mama?
Yeah, that's tricky. That's tricky. My sister said when you give birth to a child, you give birth to guilt. And really, it's just amplified when you become a single parent, because if your little person had to choose, that would not be what they chose. So that breaks my heart to just even voice that. It's been, look, as individuals, for her father and I, it's been really tricky. I'm very grateful that her dad is the man he is. It's made it a lot easier now. Time is a good healer. So we're at a place and a space now. We went out to dinner together the other night, actually, as a family group, because we thought it would be nice for Grace to just see that we're united. And we had a chat to her about her school term and, the things that we're united on. And it was really nice, I think. Maybe it was awkward, I don't know. I think it was a nice kind of a front to just sort of be together and sit with her as a mother or a father, which is what we are. We still never change here.
Yeah, it's an acknowledgement and an honouring of the roles that you have in her, and she is the joiner of the two of you now.
Yeah, she certainly is. Yeah, she certainly is. I think one of the hardest things has been, for me, has been giving myself time to back away in the early stages. Not so much now, but in the early stages, if I was triggered by something or if something upset me, instead of responding to her dad, to just give myself time to step away and say, hey, I'll get back to you on that, or I need to think about that. Really, as I say, really grateful for David, for the man that he is. We're both on exactly the same page when it comes to Grace and her well-being. So we're very flexible within that. And if it works for her, it works for us. And, but that we rise above who we are for her, really. And that's what makes it work.
And are there other people who have stepped into a mothering or fathering role in her life because of your separation?
So David's remarried, her dad is remarried, and he's got a very nice new wife. And she's really great with Grace, and she has Grace's best interests at heart. It's kind of, it's kind of tricky. Initially, I was jealous of that, and I know that's going to sound like incredibly petty, probably, but
no, it actually makes perfect sense to me, because in our dreams, we never think somebody else is going to mum our kid. So yeah, I get that.
And it's also, I had to work and process through, so my financial status now is really different to what it was. So I can't offer Grace the stuff because I've always given her my time, and that hasn't changed. So I do work full time, but I work around her. So it means that she gets my time. And I've just expressed that to her very simply like that. And she's good with that. But yeah, that was something else that I had to work through. And that was another thing that kind of made me feel a bit resentful. But what I did realise is that she'll never ever have a mum. Like, she'll never have another mum. I'm it. And while her dad's new wife is a wonderful, caring, kind human being, I know her intimately, and she'll never ever have another mum. I'm it.
Yeah.
So I just need to keep going.
Isn't it interesting? It's like you returning to the truth, feeling the fear, feeling the jealousy, feeling the discomfort of that idea of another mum, and coming home to the truth of who you are as her mum, and even coming home to the value of what you have to offer her, which is your time and attention and aroha, and that is enough. That is enough. And she might get more stuff somewhere else, or she might get a different kind of mothering or fathering in another place, in another situation. But what you offer is absolutely enough.
Yeah, I think so too. I love that she gets the stuff as well. She's in Melbourne shopping at the
So good. So good.
All like I know. And I'm just like, I'm on the phone to her every day. I'm like, what have you done today? Where have you been? And she's just all enthusiastic about the Chadston shopping mall, Chadwick or whatever it's called, the big mall over there. And she's got the bits and pieces, and she's been on the, flash seats on the airplane. I'm just like, oh, go Grace, that's awesome, love it. And then she comes back here onto the farm and her bum just lands very back on her. And she's out in the gummies around the place and in the poo. But that's what we do. And she enjoys it as much. I think it's just a completely different dynamic is all. Yeah.
And is there any, again, our journeys aren't a straight line, are they? Our journey into motherhood or through motherhood or not into motherhood as we expected it, whatever it is that is our journey, it's so not a straight line because it took you guys a while to conceive Grace. So even in the desire to become a mother, there were hills to climb or valleys to go through.
Yeah. Okay, so it was 8 years of IVF and trying other, methods. And I was very philosophical by the end of that because you don't want to set yourself up for major disappointment. So I kind of got to a place where I thought, do you know what? If this doesn't happen, I've got to be okay with that. I've just got to be okay with that. So I came to that realization in that place, in that space. But then if I asked myself in those very quiet times, it was a yearning that came from deep down in my soul, and not everybody has it. And I love that we live in an age now where that's okay. There's lots of people. I have numerous friends that I don't have numerous friends.
Good quality, close set, knit set of friends. Yeah.
The percentage of them is a little higher that don't have kids. So, I think that's also good. But for me, I just love it. I just love the opportunity to become a mum. And because I knew that it was probably only going to be a one-time thing, I really just savoured every second of it. And I loved my pregnancy despite the morning sickness and the big belly and that sort of thing. I just really loved and savoured the whole journey. And that is another reason actually I left my career in radio, because I knew it was going to be a one-time thing and I wanted to be present in her life from the get-go.
Well, yeah. Has that influenced the way you mother Grace?
It definitely. I'm very nurturing. I know I'm very nurturing. I know that about myself. I love to, and that goes across all ages, of course, but especially with my daughter. One of the things that we never had really was open communication to talk about gritty stuff. We had good communication about surface stuff and bubbly stuff and day-to-day stuff. But when it came to talking about the difficult things, about emotions, her emotions, my emotions, that kind of thing, it just was non-existent. And I think that's why she was always such a nice, soft, good place to be, because there was never any confrontation, because there was never any conversation that would lead to that, which is not necessarily that healthy. I discovered in recent years, really, with the passing of my dad. But that's why I'm really adamant with Grace that we just had these conversations. And I love setting up spaces where we can have these conversations about deeper things. So just recently, we went to the Whangaro Art Museum, and they had an exhibition there by an artist called Patrick Lundberg called No Title, No Body, No Thing. And it was a minimal abstract art exhibition across a massive space with tiny, tiny little pieces of art that you had to get right up and close to. And it was very spread out and it was extremely minimal, there wasn't a whole lot there. And we were walking around and we always had great conversations around art. Grace loves art. I know nothing about it, so it's nice too, because she gets to teach me something. I become a student, which I think is nice. I can see her for the little individual that she is, and she can teach me as we go. And I said, I don't understand this. I don't get it. And she said, why does everything have to have meaning? And I just had this massive moment. I think setting up those spaces and places, and it's going to be different for every relationship and every mother and daughter, or mother and son, but setting up those times that you can have those juicy conversations is something I place a lot of importance on, for sure.
So cool. Two last final questions. What is a tenet of your mothering? What is something that you can say yes to about your mothering?
It's really my relationship with my daughter. We like, long at last, please God, but we like being together. I like her, and I think she likes me. So we've got that, and we get through things quickly, her and I. We blow up from time to time, but we move through it quickly, and that's what I want us to keep doing, just to keep being human, but to keep moving through it and knowing that this too shall pass. How to, look the other person in the eye, say I'm sorry, I was wrong, and carry on.
Nice. And what feelings does Mother's Day bring up for you?
Mother's Day is overwhelming gratitude. I always express to Grace that I'm so grateful that I got to be not just a mum, but her mum, because she's special. She's Grace Joy, and she's Grace Joy for every reason. It's not just her name. She encompasses that. Although she's really clumsy. Grace.
Cool. You're fat, you're clumsy. No, it's just cultural, In some cultures, it could be you're fat, and in our culture, gosh, I don't know what you're thinking. You're so clumsy. Oh.
She's gorgeous.
Yeah,
she's gorgeous. And I guess maybe a little bit of sadness, just with the relationship with my own mum. I wish that we could have had some big conversations. But that said, she's my mum. I love her. She did the best she could with where she was and what she had. And she's my mum. What more can you say?
No, nothing, no more. I think it's such a redemptive position to hold, to look back to our parents, their humanity, their frailty, their failure, and say they were doing the best they could with what they had. And it is almost like a forgiveness. Somehow it releases our pain, and maybe some of the pain that was caused to us by being parented by humans. And that, I think we can turn with that sense of lightness towards our own children and be like, wow, I can forgive myself for the mistakes I've made, and maybe they can too. Jax Donaldson, thank you. You're a wonderful woman, you.
It's really beautiful. Thanks, Petra. Happy Mother's Day. You're a wonderful mum.
Thanks. Taua. Same.
It's the Sacred Text on Sunday Sanctuary with Petra Bagust.
Hi, I'm Gail. I'm the mother of 3 beautiful girls. I lost my mum about 1.5 years ago, and I've found that really difficult, particularly recently. I've just had a newborn, and my mum hasn't been around to do all the things that mums do, cooking and cleaning and just cuddling a baby, and I've really missed her. So I wanted to say that as we come up to Mother's Day, if you've lost your mum, it's okay to find this day hard.
Hi, my name's Bex, and I'm 36, and I would have thought by now that I would have my own children, but I find myself single and with no children. I've been on a journey of learning to grieve well and all the complexities that come with that. One thing I've done is I've built intentional relationships with my nieces and nephews, and in some ways be a motherly figure to them, and I've found this incredibly life-giving.
Hi, I'm Cammie. My relationship with my mom is a point of grief. Mother's Day is painful for me because the absence of someone you love can be all-consuming. It reminds me that I have a mother who's still living, but addiction keeps us apart. I remind myself that I'm still a daughter in this world. Here's to all the heavy hearts on this Mother's Day. May strength and peace find you.
Maloilele, I'm Anna. I'm a mother to 2 angel babies, and I lost my babies a couple of years ago. It's been a rough ride after many failed attempts of trying to get pregnant, but it's only taught me to become stronger spiritually, mentally, and physically. So here's a shout out to all of you who are also grieving on Mother's Day. Know that you are a strong and beautiful mother at heart. Whoever you are, wherever you are. Much aroha to you.
That collection of stories about mothering was really the inspiration for this Sunday Sanctuary. We came to this idea of messy motherhood knowing that for some it's an easy day of celebration, of having breakfast in bed or a card made by someone you love. And for others, there's so much more going on. I would say for many of us, there are layers. And so that collection of wonderful stories of raw, honest reality about so many people's experience of mothering and being mothered felt like a wonderful fulcrum around which to build this Sunday Sanctuary. What we're going to do now is have a discussion with a dear friend of mine. She was, I guess, a language guide, a te reo Māori guide for me. She lives and works in Taranaki, and she was my guest on Grey Areas for the Grief episode, talking about the loss of her own mum. And we delve into maybe some of the more pragmatic aspects of being a mum or being mummed here. This is Te Waka McLeod. Tēnā koe. Te Waka. Thank you for joining us for this portion of Sunday Sanctuary where you and I get to riff on the kaupapa that is motherhood. Mama. I think a lot of emotions come up for me when I think about motherhood. I think about how I was mothered well and then mothered in ways that didn't work for me, and how I mother as well as I can. And my high points, I'm like, wow, done well, and in my low points I'm like, ouch, how much recovery is required. And yeah, mothers are both biological, but they're also extended friends and whānau. So this idea of I feel mothered by God, I feel mothered by atua, because God is genderless ultimately. And so to receive good mothering is viable, I perceive, throughout my entire life from a multitude of sources. You had a very close bond with your mama who is no longer with you.
Hi, Dad. Kia ora. My mum was a beautiful soul. She was a hard worker and loved the fact that she had tamariki to lead, I think. I wish I could ask Mum now, what it was, what was her mission, what was her, what did she want for us? I think we will know deep down in us what probably every mama wants for their children. And then we'll open up it. Lost Mum a few years back.
And what is your deep down feeling that she did want for you, for her tamariki?
I think number one, she probably just wanted us to live a different life to her, that she had a deep desire for us as tamariki to feel loved and nurtured. And that's not like just a huggy love. That's like a wrapped around type of love that, as we all know, is felt very differently. We feel love differently, and that we would do everything that we could in our lives for me and my siblings. So I think that's the type of thing she wanted. And I think she also wanted us to deeply know our culture. She did grow up around it, but just a part of that generation that didn't have it. And so, again, just seeing the outworking of what that looks like. And now, as tamariki, she made sure that she was at the pa, that we were well connected to our marae, that we had experiences growing up that connected us to our culture. And so I think that's something that she would be proud of now, looking down and with us. Yeah.
Yes, because do you suppose there was any discomfort for her in those spaces, taking you to those spaces if she was less connected?
Yeah, I think, she was disconnected. Her mum left her when she was a very young girl, and she was disconnected from her mum to the point where some of her siblings didn't know where their mum was buried. And so you could feel like some of them knew and they had visited, but some hadn't. And so recently, well, when I say recent, in the last 10 years, I went and found my nan in Maki too. So like completely other side of the other country. I'm in Taranaki. My nan's in Maki too. And so mum didn't have a connection with her mama, but she had a whāngai mama that she didn't have a great relationship with. And so I think just that disconnect from her mum to her and then her whāngai mama to her, she didn't want us to feel that at all as tamariki.
So she,
And-
yeah. So she had this adopted mum and there was a tension there. So she had something to measure against the way she wanted to mother.
Correct. And I think she, in the time that we as tamariki knew her and were with her, she did an exceptional job of making sure that we would never experience that disconnect that she experienced from the day she was born to when she left us.
Wow. What are the tenets of some of her mothering? What do you like actually remember about her practical physical mothering that you're like, that was so my mum?
She was a hard worker. So my dad was around, but he was very, again, connected to the game life. So mum was mum and dad to us pretty much my whole childhood. So she was a hard worker in terms of making sure that all the tamariki were fed. She was a good saver. She was a good spender. She made sure that our home was safe. And the way that she loved us, if I think back to just a couple of things or a couple of ways that she loved on us, was that she made sure that we played sport.
Oh, yeah.
And she would manage all our teams. And that, I think, speaks, again, we often just bypass those things when we think about our mum. But the way that my mum fundraised and managed all of our sports teams was her way of loving us and making sure that we were part of communities that she knew we probably needed, and she needed, mum needed. And so that looked like loving what we loved physically and putting us and surrounding us with people that would help to mother us, in a sense, in the way that they coached the team. My mum, one of the cool things my mum did was when I was at primary school, or we were at primary school, my mum followed a teacher. So the teacher went from one school to the next school. So her name was Min. We called her Fireman. She went from one school to the next school, and so mum picked us all up and moved us to the next school she was at. So all of us had her there, and then she moved to another school, and she was then the principal. So mum picked the younger kids up and moved them to the school that she was at. So again, I think mum was fiercely aware that we needed people around us to help protect, look after us, love on us in every way. And so when a fireman left Kura, my whole family turned up to Kia ora.
It's my mum walking in the background.
Hey, Mama.
Yeah, she's just been playing a sport.
And so mum would, so we went to her being farewelled from that role, and all of us as kids all turned up. So I remember flying back from Auckland for that, and it was just such a special memory to go, man, mum wasn't there, but she was honoured because she was, in my whānau, she was a mother to us.
Wow. I love this idea of what you're expressing. I hear you saying the acknowledgement of your mum that she needed others to help mother. And today, as the headspace I'm in right now, my daughter's gone back to uni. I've got a son doing a little holiday course. I've got another son who's still asleep because he was allowed to game super late last night with his mate who had a sleepover. And so here I am kind of trying to hold everything together. And there is a feeling you can get of I'm doing this all by myself, and the list and the tasks never end. And I almost sort of just paused as I was getting into that hairy, crazy mode of action and went, just because they're asleep doesn't mean they won't wake up. Just because he's at the course doesn't mean he won't come home. Just because the dog is unfed doesn't mean he won't get fed. And there was this coming home of, I'm not alone as a mum, and I can reach out and ask for support, community, assistance, what I need. it's a powerful thing to do as a mother, and it's a powerful thing, I guess, to model.
Yeah, and I think as a wahine, because I'm my mum's only daughter, my dad had a daughter, so mum was her mum as well. But as a wahine watching that, my mum needed other people to, and that was probably in some ways maybe an unhealthy need, but then also healthy need in another sense, is that I have always grown up, and probably my siblings have always grown up knowing that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to reach out to other people to or fill gaps that you might not be able to fill. And so when my mum did pass away, I felt like I had so many people wrapped around me in so many areas of my life, like different communities and whānau groups and aunties, and that of course there was a loss, but also so if I needed to know how to bake a cake, I knew who to ring. Or if I needed to know how to cook a chicken, I knew who to call, and I wasn't afraid of asking different people to fill the gap once Mum had gone.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's, I think, credit to Mama, because she taught us as tamariki that it's okay. It's okay to have community that fill the gap.
Yeah, so true. My mama is taking my papa for lunch. It's just like,
yeah, the mama. Yeah.
Can I ask about your journey? You would like to be a mama, and that hasn't happened yet for you. How is that? Like, where are you at on your journey in the stasis?
Yeah, so we've been married for 3 years, and we fortunately got hapu quite early in our marriage, and we've lost 3 tamariki, 3 little seeds. Lost, I mean, they're still around. They're not lost.
I hear you.
Lost out of the body. Yeah, so that's something that we want to do, and we want to be parents, and I want to be a mum. I'm okay with sitting with however long it takes. Obviously, when you do get hapu, that hits hard, but we're happy just to go with the flow for now. So I look forward to the day. I'm not at the point where I'm disappointed that it hasn't happened. I'm disappointed that we've lost, but I'm not disappointed that we've been able to explore the world, and we'll keep exploring the world until we do have a tamaiti. But I long for that, and I look forward to the day where we do have a baby or many. And I'm very much aware of the clocks that work within a mama's body.
Tinana, yes.
Yeah.
So is there a sense of acceptance there where you are, like, tell me process-wise, are you just trusting the process? Like, we're taking...
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, trusting the process. We've been blessed with 3 seeds that have not lasted in my tinana, and we will continue trusting the process and continue trusting that the right timing will happen. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I've been able to grieve for my mum and dad, the 2 closest people that have been to me. And so these are the next, outside of my siblings, a baby is that. So we've been able to grieve the losses that we've had up until now, but we're still doing all the things you need to do to have a baby.
Tune in for the sealed section of Sunday Sanctuary. Oh, well, that's thank you for sharing. That's a personal question, and I acknowledge the tapu, kind of the sacredness of our own journeys. I also lost a seed, lost a baby, and for me that baby is real. That baby is still in existence. I have named that baby, and that feels like a very peaceful and good, or I would say right action for me and my husband to take, and grieved the loss. Yeah, and are truly grateful for the reality and the challenge of 3 actual seeds that stayed in the tinana. So, yeah, I hear what you're saying. And even in my mothering and my loss, I recognise that I have space in my heart to mother where invited, where appropriate, and hopefully not out of too much need of my own. Others, to come alongside another and to offer them a mother's love. And I feel like that is such an expansive way of seeing the wovenness of our communities, that we are and can be and can choose to be deeply connected and to receive and give our mamas love.
And I remember a time where a good friend of mine asked me, when I couldn't quite get the Father God's love, because often we refer to him as a father, but he's also a mother. That makes sense. I had to write down all the qualities of a mother, of my mum, and what my thoughts were about a mother. And so when I couldn't get the Father's love, I was like, okay, I can do that. That's easy for me. So I wrote it all down, and then my good friend said, well, that's who we're referring to when we say good father, or father this or father that. That's actually what we're referring to, but I just had to reframe it in my mind. And I remember that being so helpful for me to understand, a mother's heart and a father's heart.
So access to the divine, access to God through your knowledge and experience of a good mother.
Yeah.
So delightful. Oh.
And the other thing I remember doing is writing down, and I often think of this like, writing down all the mums that have had an impact in my life. Like there's people that I don't have contact with anymore, but they were all a part of my life of being a wahine as well. And so, even friends or mama, or friends or wahine that aren't mama themselves but mothered me. That's another thing to think through. So writing down a list of all the mama, I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for all the ladies that have contributed to my life. As a young woman, not having a mum, I could name hundreds of people around the country. Writing them down.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm actually going to make myself a note. Go through my life and write down. It's bringing them to mind. It's almost like you can experience or access the love that they gave you and you had for them in the remembering and the appreciation or the acknowledgement of that contribution. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful idea. I'm writing it down. Te waka, ngā mihi nui ki a koe.
Sunday Sanctuary, your mug of goodness.
To round out our Sunday Sanctuary today for, I guess, honouring and holding up messy motherhood. And if I think of messy motherhood like a baby itself, like just tenderly looking in the face of it and going, who are you? How are you? And how is this going to work out? I want to offer you, where we reflect on communion, a poem today. And a poem is so often a metaphor. It's a way of making space and allowing people to be guided through a story that is symbolic. And so this poem by Alison Woodward is quite metaphorical. And it is about being a mum, and yet every time the word mother shows up in the poem, I think you could substitute the word Jesus for it. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. Because we know the story of the human being Jesus, who died on the cross and who suffered and who did so many things. There are so many stories about his actual life in Israel in the first century. And the idea that there is this very deep potential correlation between God, Jesus, and mothering is a fascinating metaphor to explore. So, if you're willing, allow me to read. To be a mother is to suffer, to travail in the dark, stretched and torn, exposed in half-naked humiliation, subjected to indignities for the sake of new life, To be a mother is to say, this is my body broken for you. And in the next instant, in response to the Created's primal hunger, this is my body, take and eat. To be a mother is to self-empty, to neither slumber nor sleep. So attuned you are to the cries in the night, offering the comfort of yourself, the assurances of I'm here. To be a mother is to weep over the fighting and exclusions and wounds your children inflict on one another, to long for reconciliation and brotherly love, and, when all is said and done, to gather all parties, the offender and the offended, into the folds of your embrace, and to whisper in their ears that they are beloved. To be a mother is to be vulnerable, to be misunderstood, railed against, blamed, for the heartaches of the bewildered children who don't know where else to cast the angst they feel over their own existence in this perplexing universe. To be a mother is to hoist onto your hips those on whom your image is imprinted, bearing the burden of their weight, rejoicing in their returned affection, delighting in their wonder, bleeding in the presence of their pain. To be a mother is to be accused of sentimentality one moment and injustice the next. To be the receiver of endless demands, absorber of perpetual complaints, reckoner of bottomless needs. To be a mother is to be an artist, a keeper of memories past, weaver of stories untold, visionary of lives looming ahead. To be a mother is to be the first voice listened to and the first disregarded. To be a mender of broken creations and comforter of the distraught children whose hands wrought them. To be a mother is to be a life giver, bestower of names, influencer of identities, life shaper, empathizer, healer, and original love. Ooh. That was by Alison Woodward, as I said, and I personally love poetry. It sort of just unleashes the idea that things will be logical and explainable and easily answered. So I hope that there was something in there for you to find space to, reckon with all of the messiness of mothering. And I'm going to leave you today with a benediction that I wrote. And I hope, again, that you can find space for yourself in this. Take what serves you and leave what doesn't. It's such a joy to share these conversations with you. God, you created mumming, so can we have an honest chat? Because there are days when mumming is quite a mess. A mess for mums with toddlers, for women waiting to be mums, holding on to hope in absence, hormones, miscarriages. It's messy for those of us who are over mumming today, who haven't got a handle on the next season of mumming. Having a human mum is the messy beginning of each and every one of us. So I look for you on days when my mumming is a mess, my own mum is a mess, when I'm doing life with other messy humans. Let my mumming be enough for today, whoever it touches and holds, both my children and others. I look for you in the middle of mums who muck up like me, mums who make up like me, mums who hurt and heal for so many reasons. Find me, Mother God, where I am today, in pain, in hope, in confusion, in clarity. Find me. Meet me here, before I am a mum, before I am mummed, before everything. Hold me and help me heal. Amen.